Thanks so much for having me, everybody. It's fantastic coming here live from lockdown in Melbourne, I have to say. I am a life strategist and a life coach and have been for 20 years. And I work with people and a lot of fabulous women on how to be the best version of themselves and develop their life plan. And love to just get into it now and answer as many questions as we possibly can.
Awesome, Shannah, thanks so much for that. And what I want to start off the session with today is getting a sense from you, when we think about money, this concept of self-sabotage, we really want to dive into that idea today. Why do we self-sabotage when it comes to money and finances? Like, where does that come from, do you think?
I think it really stems from not having your goals right, so that we go and self-soothe by, going out shopping or doing a bit of online shopping, especially at the moment if we can't get out. And we are sabotaging ourselves because it's just not helping us get to where we want to get to. It might be that quick fix, but there is so much more fulfillment if you've got your goals all organized and you're really in charge of your money and you've got a great vision for yourself for the long term as to know why you're not going to go online shopping or why you might not go to that sale. If you're at that sale and you're thinking about, do I really need these extra towels? Is that helping me get towards my goal, or this handbag or that pair of shoes? For me personally, I really train myself to ask myself that question. And 90% of the time, I just have to put it back, or even now, I just don't even go to the sales.
I can relate to that. May or may not have bought a few pairs of shoes accidentally at sales. I want to get back to this idea that you mentioned of, self-soothing, and the reason that we do that is because we often don't have a plan in the first place. And I know that a lot of the work that Christina does with her clients and also Ruby at Westpac is about helping everyone, and particularly women, have a plan when it comes to their money. What I love about your ethos is that you like to think of yourself as a business, and you help your clients to think of themselves as a business unit. Can you talk us through that? Because I found that quite transformational when you've explained that to me in the past.
Yes, absolutely. I want you to think of yourself for a moment as the asset, and you're the business and you work for the business of you. And what you do as a job is what you go and do, but it's not who you are. So the first business that you work for every single morning is yourself and your set of values and your goals. And then you go to business to work, and that's just what you do. And that work that you do supports the business of you. So when we treat ourselves like that, it's about what are the foundational pieces? What are the departments of the business? There's our health, there's our well-being, there's our friends, there's our family, there's our hobbies, there's our joy, but there's our money sitting right down in there, as well as in the basement holding it all up. So we need those goals and those visions for where we want to get to. And what a coach does, and what Christina and everyone at Westpac will do, is help coach the gap of where you are now to where you want to get to. And it becomes an incredible, fun, creative journey, because then, why am I not buying that pair of shoes? Because I'm so attached to the goal that I've set myself, and it makes me feel better. It makes me put my head on the pillow at night and sleep better, because I know that I've cared for the most important thing to me, which is my freedom and my choices. And my choices are my fun vouchers. They're your money. So what are you doing for your fun vouchers? And do you learn, love, and respect them? So as I was talking to you, Meggie, yesterday, and Christina will back me up here with the resources that you have at Westpac, is for so many women, as in particular, I find they don't understand their money enough. They don't touch it enough. So a really simple, quick tip and hack for me is I just put in my calendar, on your Outlook calendar, the first of every month is Finance Day. So for the last 20 years, every single first of the month, I would never go to bed until I've done the months before finances, and it takes 1 hour. So that's 12 hours a year I spend touching my money, understanding it, looking at what went in, recording what went out. Every time I have to record every single thing that went out, it's sort of like, oh, did I really need that? And it retrains the brain to, that was such a waste. That was such a waste. That's not getting me to my goal. So it's a really exciting journey that you can take yourself on by setting up a structure that really supports and works for you and is easy and simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. And then when you go to invest or purchase a property or get into some shares or anything like that, you can type it into your great spreadsheet, and it will quickly talk back to you and tell you what you can or can't do.
And I think that that's really interesting because we're running these sessions in partnership with Westpac's Ruby Connection and PepTalkHer every month as a Friday Lunch and Learn. And I think some of the questions that we get through all the time is, I just don't know where to start. And it sounds like what you're saying, Shannah, is putting aside half a day a month that is your money day, like blocking it off in the calendar, in your Outlook, whatever it is, so that that is literally what you spend those couple of hours doing. That is a good first step for people to sort of put one foot in front of the other in terms of getting on top of their finances. And indeed, if they're on top of their finances, supercharging them, right? And really getting to that high net worth point in your financial journey.
Yeah, I mean, I've been coaching for 20 years and one of the reasons I wrote my book, The Life Plan, is you need a plan. You know, most people have a career plan, but they forgot the life plan. And so we're really busy making money, but what are you going and doing with the money? Where is it going? What for? Why are we working so hard? You know, what is the outcome that we want? What are we doing with the money that we work so hard for? So it's that should be the project. That's who you work for, is that foundation that makes you feel really calm and really confident. And the first step is always to go back to the soil, to look what's there and to really have a nice plan that you go every month to the soil and you check it out. You don't keep walking past it and ignore it, and you notice when there's some fungus in there. So really think about it as, if you want to be this great plant, you've got to go to the soil. And when we treat our money with such respect and love and attention, even once a month, as I said, it's only an hour a month if you have a beautiful little spreadsheet, that's your starting block. And that really is empowering, because the more that you do that, the more confident you get, then you can come and work on how to supercharge it all.
Yeah, and I like that idea of the 1 hour a month. So you talk about, you spend 12 hours a year only managing your money. That's pretty appealing for someone like me. Like I enjoy managing my money, but I find it, I guess I feel like sometimes I don't have control over the time and energy that I spend on it. So what you're saying is compartmentalize it and have a date in the calendar, have it locked in so that you know exactly what you've done every month.
It's a little bit like cleaning the fridge out every month, or you know, filling up your car every month. It's really that, it's a maintenance. And when we maintain things, you know, you go and maintain your hair, for example, or you maintain your clothes and you wash them, and you know, it's the same. It's like, why do we just forget the money? I'm not sure. It's a mentality. And when we think because it's too hard or I don't understand it, you just bury it rather than going, I might embrace it because it might be a lot easier than I think.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And this is great advice for our viewers today who are starting on their money journey, and also for those people who are more advanced in terms of their investing and their savings goals. So I love this. Getting back to what you said though, the life plan, because I think it's quite right. A lot of us freak out about having a career plan and all these kinds of things, but we forget about the bigger picture of life. And I guess for the purposes of today, Shannah, that's interesting and important, because if we understand where our life is going and where we want it to go, we can then retrofit our savings and our financial goals. And I guess by virtue of having those goals, hopefully we will therefore sabotage our financial self less. Can you talk about some steps that people can take today or this weekend after they've watched this session, you know, to really put a plan in place? Like, I think even the idea of a plan seems overwhelming. What is a good first step to do today?
I think, you know, there's two things that I do with people before I even really get to work with them. And the first one is know what you value. We often know the value of the values of the company that we're working for, you know, that tagline. But what are your own, you know, what are your own set of values? And I think when you spend a moment to really cement those, they're the core, they're in the soil. So, you know, that's who you work for, and they're all in my book, How to Do That, as well. The second thing is to make sure you know where you're going. It's a bit like you've got your car and you're driving from, you know, Melbourne to Sydney. What if you only can think that? What if I said, let's think a little bit bigger today. Let's think Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, Perth, and let's end up in the Maldives and back to New York to you, Meggie. It's a little bit like your brain just went on this huge trip, didn't it? And that's what you can do with your life, is to say, well, you know, if I just give myself a little bit of a roadmap on what my dreams might be and where I might want to get to by doing some vision creation and a vision board, I then can set some really nice mini goals to tick off along the way. I will then also notice all the opportunities in front of me because I've opened up my mind, and things are going to come a lot quicker. So I really invite people to do those two things. Work out your values, they're in the book. Second thing is to do a vision board. And in this lockdown, I really thought, what do people need? And as a creative project for yourself this weekend, you can go to my site, Meggie's got the link there, for a free downloadable printable vision board kit, because I even now, you know, I'm writing my 7th book at the moment. You know, I've got a great business. I've got my family. I'm still redoing my vision board. You should never stop looking forward. You should always know where you want to point the car, which direction, so that you feel that you're making progress and you have that sense of achievement. So what a great project for the weekend. Do a vision board, see where you want to go. What does it feel like? You know, does it feel inspiring? And then it's pretty easy to set some great financial goals for yourself.
I love that. And I think some people watching this may have already done a vision board at some point in their life. Some people might think it's a bit woo-woo, it's a bit hippie. For people who are like, oh, that's a bit out there for me, why is it so important? Why is it important to visually, like I'm just looking up at my vision board here, why is it important to visually see those cues regularly? Why does that actually shift our mindset?
It's so not woo-woo, can I tell you? You know, all the Olympians that I have worked with, and I've worked with a lot, it's the visualization. They put pictures up of, you know, where they want to get to. And sometimes, you know, when we're feeling a bit flat or a bit overwhelmed or just a bit stuck, you know, when we visually see something, we can remind ourselves why we're on the path. You know, in this lockdown, for example, you know, my daughter and I, we said, let's learn how to do headstands as our challenge. So on the vision board went up a picture of this awesome lady doing a headstand, and we've been doing headstand every day since, because that woman on the vision board is looking at me every day, reminding me of where to go, you know. So we put up there, you know, where we want to get to, but also things we might want to remember. On mine, there's a very old farmer with no teeth, and he's just full of wrinkles, and he's got his bunch of tomatoes, and he's laughing with no teeth. And he's really important because he reminds me to keep life simple and to lighten up a bit, and maybe just to let go a little bit and stop being such a control freak, and that it's all going to be okay, and to enjoy the journey. So sometimes it's not all the things we want to get, but sometimes it's also about how we want to feel. And when we visually remind ourselves, we can tap back into that energy rather than sitting there feeling flat and stuck in your own thoughts.
Yeah, and I think it's great. Some of us might be visual learners as well, so it's a great way to kind of snap out of, if you're in the zone and you're sort of focused on the things that you've not done financially, potentially, or the shoes you accidentally did buy. Nice to have that bigger picture vision. We're actually doing that with my team. We're going to do a vision board exercise virtually, actually, thanks to your advice, Shannah. We're a full team, and so I've sent them all some money to buy their favorite magazines, and we'll print off your print-offs, which we're about to share in the chat, by the way, so you can print that too. And we're just going to spend half an hour together with a tea or a beer, depending on the time of day, to do that together, because I think sometimes it can be hard to get started on your own. So I'd encourage you to find a friend this weekend, maybe, or next week after work, socially distance, wear your mask, obviously, and maybe do a session with a friend, because it's really fun. I love doing these exercises as a group.
Look, it's fun. It's really creative. It's really powerful. It's what all the elite athletes do. It's what great business people do. And we have a vision for our business. We should have a vision for our life as well that the business can fit into. Yeah. And with the free download, I've put all the words on there. So you just have to cut them out, because I think that's the major block for people, is I'm not sure what words to put up. And then you can, you know, put the pictures around the words.
I love that. And for those small business owners on the session today, I can see a few of you who I recognize. Big hello to Joe Palmer, who runs an amazing remote business. I actually also wrote a check to myself with the amount of money that I intend to make from my business. And I actually literally have that stuck on my vision board too. So all of these little things, you know, it can just helps train your brain, doesn't it? Shannah, you mentioned that you train a lot of elite athletes. You've worked with so many successful men, women, business owners, business leaders, executives all around the world. What are some of the top tips that you see from them in terms of getting their mindset right towards success, rather than sabotage, be that financial sabotage or, you know, succumbing to imposter syndrome, so they sabotage their success? What are some of the things that you see the most successful people do to keep their true north towards success at all times?
I think there's a couple of things. One is, you know, looking in the mirror and actually having the can-do attitude and learning to tap into yourself, that self-belief. And the second thing for me is get a coach. I have a coach. I've been a coach for 20 years and I still employ a coach because I've got a small business. It is a fantastic business. It's a global business, but you get stuck in your own head, and that can be quite a trap, especially when we're going through a big growth. Is when we go for a big growth, it can often feel quite scary. And if you've got somebody holding your hand through the process and a cheerleader, or developing a dream team for yourself of people who aren't dream stealers, they're people that really say you can do it. When I wrote my first book, one of my cousins said, "Oh, no one reads books anymore. That's silly." I was like, "Oh, she's off the team," because they plant those seeds of doubt. Whereas when we can gather a team around us that believe in us and are pushing us forward, we can just achieve so much more. So don't think that anyone does it alone. No athlete does it alone. No great business person does it alone. So gather a team around you. You've got Christina there looking after your money, and we've got all these women around us in this whole group, this Ruby group, where we can all connect and we can all help each other and help lift each other, because we can achieve incredible things when we have a bit of energy behind us from other people.
I love that. We've just had a question through from someone, Shannah, who was interested specifically. You spoke earlier about when we're working towards avoiding self-sabotage with money, which we've all done probably at some point in our life. We all do it, men, women, teenagers, whatever. When we're looking to avoid that, you talk about thinking of yourself as an individual and your financial future as a business. Someone's asked a question here about, do you break that down into different departments, and how does that work, right? Because, some people, for example, we've used the analogy earlier of like not buying the shoes on sale. Equally, if you want the shoes and you can afford the shoes, you should totally get them. And you talk about a joy department as well. It's not all like serious, like the hour a month finance. You actually make sure that there's time for fun in spending as well.
Yeah, I think it's about setting up a strategy, that, we've all got a strategy about how do we manage that goal and that money so that we feel empowered, but we also feel free. So for me, it's automatic savings plans where, it's about choosing how much a day do you want to save that's non-negotiable, and whatever's left is my fun play money. And if I want the shoes, I'll get them, etc. But I'm not going to go past that. So it's about setting some really nice boundaries for yourself so that you don't go and sabotage, or you don't have that need to have everything right now. You might wait a little bit for something, which is very unusual these days. But it's about having some boundaries and having a little play money and your joy stuff here that you're really happy with. But you're also serving the other side, which is moving towards your goal, because you've got, some direct debit set up that takes the money away. I have $100 a day, it just goes out. Otherwise, I'll probably just spend it on something. I'll go shopping online. So it just protects my goal, and whatever's left I can go and play with.
Yeah, I love that. I'm a big fan of automation as well. That was something that my mother taught me when I started working at Hungry Jack's, to automate a percentage of my salary into an account that I never touched so that I'd have a little nest egg, which I'm just so grateful to her for that advice. If we do self-sabotage with our spending, let's be honest, it happens. And if we're trying to break that pattern that maybe we're in for a variety of different reasons, everyone here's got different circumstances. Thank you to everyone who's sending me your stories. If you're in that pattern and you're feeling trapped, how can you break that circuit? Like, how can we stop the sales spending, or how can we stop, spending beyond our means, or when we have a goal and we keep, like, we know that we want to save for a house, but we keep doing this anyway. How can we circuit break that?
I think if you're not emotionally attached to the goal, and it's just a goal because you think you should have a goal, you'll never break the cycle. So it's about emotionally asking yourself, why do I even want that goal in the first place? How will that goal make me feel if I get it? And the second way is to quickly set up some automatic function so that you can't self-sabotage. It's a little bit like, if you don't want to eat sugar at home, you can't put it in the supermarket trolley. Only eat sugar when you're out. If you allow it in the front door and into the fridge, well, you're just going to eat that donut at the end of the day. So when you're feeling fresh and when you're feeling great and you're very clear, the idea is to go and set up some form of automation for yourself, to help move you towards feeling better about it, and also allow yourself to sit there and write about, what is it that I want to achieve with my money? What will make me feel calm and confident? And that's what we need to get emotionally attached to.
And I love that. Like, what are you excited about, right? Like what
Yeah.
at your point earlier, if you've got a vision board, if you've got a goal, whether that's, I don't know, retiring at 50, whether that's buying a car for your mum, whatever it is, having that gets you excited. And then you don't mind that much about having dinner at home rather than going out. Or, a tip that actually my Irish friend, any of you who've got Irish friends will know, they like to drink a lot of beer. He drinks a bit too much beer. So he actually doesn't take his credit card out when he goes out at night anymore. He has a debit card and there's a limit on that card. It only can spend like $300 or something. So he knows if he has a night out, that's all he can spend. So he, to your point, Shannah, rather than putting the Tim Tams in the trolley, he doesn't take the credit card. And I think that's, putting in some barriers almost. If you know an inclination, like you talked about, you don't go to sales anymore, so you can't shop unnecessarily.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why. Because I'm so attached to my holidays. My holidays, which I call life experiences that fill my soul, is traveling the world with my family, is my number one joy. So should I get the new towels or the shoes or the handbag, or do I want to get on the plane? And do I want to go and experience being in New York with my husband and my kids? That to me is more exciting. I'll forgo the shoes because I've got a bigger something that lights my joy and makes me feel alive. So if you've got a goal that's exciting, or you know how you want to spend your money that gives you fulfillment and not a quick fix, then I think it's pretty easy then to stick to some rules.
I love that. I love that. We have about 5 minutes left of Shannon's time, and we're so grateful to all of you for joining in for today's Ruby Westpac PepTalkHer Lunch and Learn session. Please send through your questions. Thank you to everyone who's been sending them through so far. It's a tough economic environment right now, Shannah. I mean, I think everyone, you were talking earlier, you've got your mask there, and a big shout out to everyone who's in lockdown today. We know that it's a challenging time for a lot of people. If people have been furloughed or made redundant or are concerned about their income, into the future, given these uncertain times, what should we be doing to sort of pivot and stay motivated right now? Because it's very easy to say, oh, it's all too hard. I'll just and it's almost like some people feel like it's almost end of world type times. People are really scared. So is there any advice that you would have that you've seen through your coaching clients over the years or from writing your books that helps during these times of fear?
I think a lot of people need to reach out and get some help, and don't think that you're going to do it all by yourself. When we're in a fear state, we're really in a stuck state, and we'll start to self-sabotage. So we need to choose freedom over fear and look about what is the gift that this situation has just given me. My speaking business fell over within a week, and I lost 40 speaking gigs instantly here in Melbourne. And it was just about, wow, that was a lot of income just gone. So it's about sitting still and saying, who do I need help from? What can I do now? And how do I make that personal pivot in my mind? And often it's about picking up the phone and talking to some people who can support you and who can help make a new plan with you. So I reached out to my coach and I'm like, what shall I do now? And we've completely changed everything around and made it work. But I think for people who have been made redundant or who are feeling the pain at the moment is to share that and devise a new mini plan. It's not a forever plan, but it might be a mini plan that you say until Christmas, these are my boundaries till Christmas, and I don't want to sabotage myself any further, and I need a bit of accountability with somebody.
And I think accountability is so important. And we really encourage all of you, if you're not already a member of Ruby's Westpac's Ruby Connection rather, please do reach out because, this is a community to help serve you and help support you during the good times when your financial success is looking amazing, and also during times where you're a little bit scared and freaked out, and that's okay. And Westpac have a lot of resources to help you through that. And Christina and her team, as well as the Ruby team, do an amazing job. So please see this as a community. That's why it was set up, was to help support you. Shannah, conscious of time, I want to be respectful of everyone's lunch break. We have 2 minutes left. Someone here is wondering, what do you do if your partner is a bit of a self-sabotager spender? If they're a little bit out of control and you're like on a path to financial freedom, how do you balance that for a final question today?
Such a great question. I love that question. You need to protect the asset, which is yourself. So it's a little bit about what are the ground rules. Like if they want to go and blow that money, that's fine. If that's what if there's a boundary on it, and we can't say you're not allowed to buy the golf clubs, or you are, or whatever. As long as you both have the equal amount of joy and spending money, I think is really important. And to bring them along your ride about why it's so important to you, and to really communicate easily and effectively about the dream that you're trying to create for yourself, or that you feel more calm and more confident when there's that much in the bank, or whatever it might be. And that's actually for your mental and your physical health moving forward.
Well, I think that's a lovely note to end on. Finding that joy so that you can move from self-sabotage towards joy, I think is really great. And maybe this weekend, to the lovely person who sent me that question, maybe you and your partner could maybe do the vision board exercise together. That might be a nice thing to do while you're, I don't know, watching some Netflix in the background or something, have a glass of wine, or, a soda water, whatever your poison is. Sharing those dreams together is great, whether it's a partner, family, support network, whatever it is. But we are so grateful, Shannah. Thank you so much for joining us. We've popped the link to the resources in the chat. You can check out more about Shannah, her coaching, her books, her resources on her website. It's been such a treat to learn from you. I've learned a lot, and I hope that everyone here today has as well. We will be back the last Friday of next month for another amazing session. Big thank you to Westpac's Ruby Connection for hosting us today. Huge thank you to Christina and her great work they do with small and medium-sized businesses. Please reach out if you have any questions. We are on LinkedIn. Shannah and I are both on Instagram. So is Ruby Connection, and see this as your community. And we very much look forward to next month. And please stay safe during these very uncertain times. Thanks for coming, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for having me.